morning. Our hand today is going to be 9-8 of clubs. We are under the gun. We open raise. I think that's pretty standard. Right at the bottom of our suited connector range. That is the extended range, so we don't have to play this. We could fold it, especially at first act. And we get one caller, two callers, three callers. This guy's an unknown. This is the third hand at the table. I'm just going to say, against an early position raise, he's in mid position. I'm going to give him a range that looks something like this. Some mid suited connectors, some suited broadways. That's about it. This is pretty tight, 7.5%, a little more than that. I'm going to assume queens plus ace king is going to be a 3-bet. I'm just going to be tight with him. This player, on the other hand, is super loose. He's 65, 51, 9. I have some notes on him where I think he's playing a lot like a tournament player. Maybe because I've seen him play in the tournaments. 3-bet range is kings, ace queen plus, ace 9 off, ace 10 off. Again, looks like he probably plays kind of like a tourney player. He only has 50 big blinds. So, I kind of think with 50 big blinds, he's probably going to be raising at least queens plus ace king, maybe a little bit more, just to try to get all in. We know that he's playing a lot of hands. So on the button, it's 58% BPIP, buttons 44% call 2-bet. So, of these, we start here and say, okay, well, we're at 57.9%. We're probably still a little wide. Let's narrow this down by taking out some of these offsuits. Say take king, we're at 49.5%. And we're going to probably play something like that. This player plays 40, 12, 6. His big blinds 32%, calls 44%, 3-bet range from big blinds 4%. Overall, though, he's playing 6%, so this is a high 3-bet percentage compared to what we normally play. I do have, again, some notes, and I've got his 3-bet range from like pocket pairs, suited broadways, and so forth. I think in this spot, a player like this is raising at least jacks plus ace king with ace queen suited. May is probably, could be raising a little bit wider, kind of as a bluff. But I do think he's playing like your suited your suited aces, suited kings, connectors, and so forth. So this is 42%. He's probably playing a lot of them. So we see a flop of queen 7-2. So we flop a flush draw. We are multi-way. And I'm assuming they check to us. So it's us. We look at it. Really, the only draw that we're looking at right now is flush draw, but we could pick up some. So flush draw and high card. That's about it. So if we just look at our draws, that's 8%. We're looking at maybe 4% for the raise, which would be basically sets. I think that's probably a little too tight. So I think we also probably do bet our overpair and probably our top pair. Maybe not all like king queens, and maybe not all ace queen. I think if we have like the ace of clubs, we can bet. If we don't have the ace of clubs, maybe we're more likely to check at that point. Oops. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Again, maybe only, we'll say like 40% you bet with the ace queen off if we have the ace of clubs. I think ace queen we could leave in our checking range because we're out of position. We're against a bunch of people. We basically have, we're going to increase this, actually 100%. So ace queen suited, king queen suited. It still seems very wide. very large. And that means we have to kind of dip into our 2-card backdoor flush draw, maybe our overcards as a bluff. We're at 52%. I think we're too wide. So maybe 40% we have aces. Sometimes whoops, change that. Sometimes we're checking aces as well. I think we're leading with ace queen. I think we're leading with king queen. I do think those are bets, and the ace queen with the ace clubs. I think we keep some of those bluffs, and then I think we're gonna say like maybe bluff pocket sixes, and I think that's it. That's 54%. So I think that's probably a suitable c-bet percentage. We're up against 3 players. We're up against a fairly tight player, or what I am assuming to be a tight player, and then a really loose player and a semi-loose player. So I bet 6. That's probably okay. Into a multi-way pot. We do have a draw, so half pot bet here. We get called in one spot. And the question is, what is he calling with? So fold c-bet is only about 50%. I have to assume we're looking at basically all your pairs, all your flush draws, and probably some of like these hands, broadways. At least. So we're just going to say that it's 55%. Still has pretty wide range. So I think here we're probably going to be betting again. I'd like to think that the low pocket pairs start to fold, or the low pairs. So like these hands start to fold with another bet, which would be good as long as we don't, if we don't connect, we're just buying the pot at that point. So turns a 7. Doesn't really improve us in any ways. So it's on us. I think we would continue betting top pair plus. I think we have our flush draw and probably our overcards, probably all the rest of these hands. I think we're going to be betting close to 100%. We only bet 50, so we should have a much tighter range at this point. And I think that's what we're targeting. Pot's 24. I probably do half pot again. And if called, we still have the bet. We still have the flush draw. So I bet 16, which is a little bit larger. I wonder if that's 2/3. Yeah, it's 2/3. I bet 2/3, and he calls. I think 2/3 is also probably okay, sizing up a little bit. Apply a little bit more pressure, try to get some more folds. So I think a rational player is probably still calling with a flush draw. Probably. I think top pair plus is probably still calling. I think some of these top pairs, maybe he calls the 8s, 9s, 10s, and jacks. I don't think we could check this hand and let him bet, because if we check, he could easily bet the pot, and we're not going to be getting the odds to call at that point. It's going to look very much like we have a club. So I'm going to say that our bet just kind of worked a little bit and folded out these weaker hands. I mean, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it doesn't, but who knows. So he does call. Up comes out 6 of diamonds. He did have potential draw. This is going to be a tough one for us to bet. So just looking off the bat, again, I'd probably bet top pair again. Maybe not like all of these queen 10, queen jack. Maybe even king queen could be just a check, like a check call, or some ace queen. If we don't have the club, if we don't have ace of clubs, we could bet. If we do have it, it makes it less likely the villain is on that flush draw. So I think it's more likely that we're going to have to actually have a hand. He's called twice, so most likely hand will be a pair of some sort or that flush draw. Um, we missed. I mean, we had the flush draw, so I think here we kind of target some of our nothing hands. Some of these hands that really can't win just with a showdown. And we could say like these kind of. I mean, maybe ace 5 is a check as well. So I'd say something like this. Leave these nothing hands. Ace high kind of has some showdown value. We check. Flush draw probably checks behind. We're getting value for all of these hands. At least top pair. I think villain could easily also call with those under pairs that we said he was gonna fold on the turn. So I think that's what we're gonna try to play. So I bet I fired out what 2/3 easy. And he calls, which is not good. He was short stacked, and we're gonna have to look at the stack sides. So once we bet and villain calls, I have to assume it's top pair plus. It's something like that, and I think what we're hoping for with this is that he would fold these hands. So the court 25%. I think that's what we're targeting. That 2/3 pot bet is closer to half pot size. So we're probably in the right ballpark, I would say. We do know if called, we're not going to win. So we show, villain shows ace 2, which is a weak pair. He had flush draw and he called all the way down. I mean, I understand his call, and he call with flush draw. I don't understand why he would call with ace 2, like on the river. I mean, he's putting me on, just a straight bluff, really. So he overcall, under the gun, 3 big blind, RFI on button with ace 2 clubs. He is in position, 4-way, call 50%, call 66%, call 50%, all in, with queen of clubs, 7 of clubs, 2 of spades, 7 of hearts, 6 of diamonds. So we've got it. We lost a hand. This is unfortunate. I don't think you could predict someone would be betting this. I mean, especially when you have the club and the player has bet 3 times. I think you have to give him credit for top pair plus. So why he called with the bottom pair, I don't know. Again, flop call, turn call. I think that all makes sense because he's got a pair with the club draw, but on the end, I just don't. I guess in his mind, he's getting, go back to here, 3-1. He needs to have 25% equity. So if we go to here and say, okay, of all of these hands that I bet, it's close. He's going to beat me. He'll win about 28%. So it is close. So yeah, maybe that was a good call. I'd have to check it with GTO, but the problem with GTO is that we have two other players in on the flop. So this was a hand. I was aggressive, 3 streets. Bet sizing may have been off a little, but I think by the end it we got them all in. If a club came out, I think we're losing it. We're losing it. So we missed the club draw. We assume villain would also miss the club draw and would fold, but that's about the only way we're gonna win is to get a fold. Could we have checked? Yeah, if we check, we're calling on the flop, and then probably calling on the turn. And if we were gonna play aggressive, it would probably be a check raise, but that we're only check raising with the club. We would have needed, we needed this to be a 6 of diamonds for us to, I think, to check raise, because then we'd be check raising with a straight and a flush draw. So didn't win this hand. Didn't win this hand. Little surprised that he called the way he did, but it is what it is. So hopefully you enjoyed this hand. Maybe you learned something. If you enjoyed it, come back tomorrow. Actually, don't come back tomorrow. I probably won't have another until maybe Sunday or Monday. So enjoy the weekend.